You know, someone asked an absolutely brilliant question recently, and it gets right to the very core of our entire methodology. So today, we're not going to shy away from it. We're going to tackle it head on. Honestly, questions like this make everything we do that much more fascinating. All right, let's jump in. So first up, a viewer's sharp question. We're going to get right to the point here because the challenge that was raised is a really, really good one. And here it is. The viewer pointed out, hey, there's a conflict here. You're looking at a text, Genesis, that's pre-exilic, meaning from before the Babylonian exile. But you're using a cipher system that was really formalized after the exile. And you know what? That is a sharp, insightful, and completely legitimate observation. I was so thrilled to get this question because it shows you paying close attention. It shows you care about historical and linguistic accuracy as much as we do. So let's dive right into the explanation, which really hinges on one central idea. And that idea is the fundamental difference between the ancient text we're studying and the modern tool we're using to study it. Let's break it down like this. On one side, you have the text itself, Genesis 1:1. That's our object of study. It's ancient, it's pre-exilic, and it's unchanging. On the other side, you have our tool, the Gematria cipher. Think of it like an analytical lens or a microscope. A microscope doesn't have to be from the 17th century to study cells from that era, right? It just has to work. And this isn't some weird thing we're doing. Scholars do this constantly. We use modern grammar systems to make sense of ancient languages. We use powerful computer software to analyze manuscripts that are thousands of years old. And here's the big one. We all use vowel markings that were standardized in the post-exilic era to read pre-exilic texts that were originally written as just consonants. In all of these cases, the tool is much newer than the object. So this is really the bottom line. A tool does not need to be as old as the text it analyzes. The only thing that matters, the only test, is whether that tool is effective at revealing the structure and order that's already lying there, waiting to be discovered. So that naturally leads to the next question, doesn't it? Okay, so if the tool can be modern, why this one? Why this particular cipher? What makes it the right tool for the job? First, just a super quick refresher so we're all on the same page. When we say cipher in this context, or Gematria, we're just talking about a system that assigns a fixed, unchanging number to each letter of the Hebrew alphabet. That's it. It just lets us look at the text through the lens of mathematics. And we chose this specific system for some very important reasons. It gives us numerical stability, the values never change. It brings incredible clarity to the text structure. It reveals patterns that are shockingly consistent, not just here, but across all of Scripture. And it gives us predictable outcomes, which is how you know you're dealing with a real system, not just random chance. Believe me, this choice was anything but random. Our goal here is to reveal the breathtaking order that's woven into the very fabric of the text. The last thing we want is to create chaos with a sloppy or unreliable tool. This system, this lens, lets that divine order shine through with perfect clarity. But look, at the end of the day, any tool is only as good as the results it produces. So the real test isn't about its age. The real test is, does it actually work? Does it reveal order? This is what it all boils down to. The most important question isn't, when was the cipher created? The real question is, does using this cipher reveal stable, measurable, and meaningful structure inside the text? And everything we do here is about showing you that the answer to that question is a massive, resounding yes. Let's start with something you don't even need a cipher to see. The number 7. It's the biblical number for perfection, for completion. Is it an accident that the very first verse of the Bible has exactly 7 Hebrew words? That theme of divine completion is right there on the surface. Now let's see how the tool works. It's really simple. You take a word, like the very first one, Bereshit, in the beginning. You just take its letters, you assign their fixed numerical values, and you add them up. That's the whole process. It's clean, it's repeatable, it's mathematical. And when we do this for all 7 words, that's when the magic starts to happen. Because when we apply that simple process to the whole verse, what we find is just staggering. The total value of all 28 letters comes out to 2,701, which just so happens to be 37 times 73. And it gets even crazier. The total value of the 3 key nouns in the verse, God, heaven, and earth, adds up to 777. I mean, come on. These are just a couple of the dozens of mathematical symmetries hidden in this one verse. The internal structure perfectly mirrors the theological theme of divine order. And that is how we know the method works. And that brings us right back around to where we started. It all comes back to you and your questions. Your engagement, your skepticism, your curiosity, that is what pushes all of this forward. I want to be really clear about this. A critical question like the one we're talking about today doesn't weaken our work. Not at all. It makes it so much stronger. It forces us to sharpen our arguments, clarify our methods, and ultimately build more trust by being transparent. So please, keep them coming. So I'm going to turn it back over to you. Since your questions guide this work, where should we go next? Would you like to see a comparison of different ciphers to see how they stack up? Or should we go even deeper into more of the mind-blowing layers of Genesis 1:1? Or maybe zoom out and see how these patterns echo across the entire Torah? You tell us. Because at the end of the day, a good question never, ever ends a discussion. It just makes it deeper. Thanks again for this fantastic question and for pushing us to explain things more clearly. We'll see you next time.